Welcome to yet another preview show. It's winter in Sydney. We're at Rosehill tomorrow for those keen, Ipswich in the north, and I'm not sure where the venue is down south, but another very full card at Rosehill, this time on a 4-metre rail, which probably won't make a lot of difference. More the problem is what the weather's going to do between now and race time tomorrow. Of course, we're sitting under a marquee, which means precipitation has begun. Aaron Macy, would you like to welcome our very special guest today,
Mr. John Wong,
making his debut on the preview show.
Yeah, something different.
Welcome, John.
Yeah, no, good to be here though. Should be interesting.
Great to have you.
Yeah, pressure's on. I want to be a weatherman this week more than anything.
Well, look, I guess we're probably going to end up with a similar situation to a fortnight ago. Now, obviously, we were on that heavy 10 where they showed an intention to race, and race they did. We're probably not going to get the same sort of rain, but we're already a little bit soft to start with. So we're looking at a track that'll be rain affected, and obviously the likelihood of rain through the meeting is fairly strong. We were on a true rail a fortnight ago. We're out to 4 metres tomorrow. It probably won't make a lot of difference. It's really only 6 metres or further that gets quite serious. And we've got field sizes that promise to be large at this stage, but obviously watch this space. So we kick off with a 2-year-old, which sees Fox Play at even money, $2. Dynamic Dynasty is second pick at $7, Hanover Square $7.5, Muhariba at $9, Coglier $10. I had Dynamic Dynasty setting sail for the lead. What do you say, John?
Yeah, close enough. A couple of the first starters sort of showed a bit of speed, but Dynamic Dynasty definitely got the fitness. McDougall wide, I'd say he'd be trying to set it up if he could get there.
Spent a long time out wide. You've obviously kept a close eye on Dynamic Dynasty, given that that's your forte,
yeah, had a
country.
Good look at him. He's been in some very weak races and he looks like a pretty strong sort of horse, but I'm not sure that sort of form will measure up to this sort of quality. I'd be very surprised if it does. I was surprised how short he came up really, and he's in the early market. And he's got fitness on his side, but I don't think he didn't look city class to me anyway, looking at his wins.
Yeah, look, I guess his debut run was a nice run, but that was at home in Newcastle. Aaron Macy, where would you like to kick off in this race?
Yes, well, I'm against him at that price. I thought he'd be at least double those odds. And I'm leaning a little bit towards Hanover Square. I thought his run was quite good. I want to move away from the favourite. I thought Fox Play seems well under the odds. I thought he looks a horse that showed improvement from second up to first start. I think Rosehill should suit him, and I thought stepping up in distance looks to suit him.
John, for or against the favourite?
Against as well. I sort of had it around the 3-1, 5-2 mark, and I was the same. Hanover Square and Coglier were the two that I thought had a bit of fitness, and Hanover Square with that Salaman had come out and ran well during the week. Yeah. That sort of looks like a pretty solid race. That Kembla, was it Kembla or was it Kembla win, was it? Yeah, the Kembla win was probably the place I wanted to start, and then Coglier's just had a really weird prep, but his last run had a bit of merit when he got stuck wide and went forward, and then Fox Play probably third pick. I thought the first starters at $13.50 at their first start on what's got to be rain affected. They have to be pretty good horses to overcome it.
Well, suggesting they're fairly slow, aren't they? The fact that they're kicking off at $13.50.
His trials were quite weird, Muhariba, I thought. Like,
he came up second favourite early. I couldn't get my head around it.
Yeah.
All right.
What did you make of the top one?
Well, he ran in a very poor city race on debut, and then had to win second start, and then did very little in one of the weakest of the lead-ups. But I mean,
yeah, and if it's panniers on it, you'd be liking to see a sort of lead on it. If she was, and I can't. If they've got speed in this horse to lead, I don't see it. So.
Yeah, look, I'm interested in the favourite and Coglier. The favourite is second up at home, second start from Blinkers on. I realised he had the right lane at Warwick Farm, but the times were very good. Coglier's got the Saturday run, which, as John mentioned, he acquitted himself quite well after an odd ride off an odd prep. Hanover Square, I'm opposing on the basis that Salaman was able to improve because of Bowman. I think that that Hanover Square had the right lane at Kembla, and his city run prior to that was in very, very poor figures. So that's the way I saw race 1. We can move on, Aaron.
We can.
And we're down to field of 5 at this stage in the Kensai. And Sabrina is the $2.15 favourite. Loophole, which surprised me, is second favourite at $3.80. Foreign Prince at $5. Beyond Thankful 8 and Jaguar at 15. Foreign Prince will clearly take it up, despite the fact that Sabrina made all the other day, because there will be intention on the part of Foreign Prince to take it up, and I think that Karen will have to hand up. Do you agree, John?
Yeah, but I don't think they'll be stopping Panya. I think she'll be whipping it if she has to get across, and yeah, then Karen's not the one to want to drive up underneath her either, I don't think.
No.
So I mean, it's an interesting scenario, this race, because clearly Sabrina will be in the slipstream of Foreign Prince, but she doesn't perhaps have the residual seasoning that that her preparation entails. So
the only thing on that is that I think she's a very light filly, and I don't think she can have that. I think she gets herself quite
she's
fit.
15 to 2000. It's interesting that he accepted for the 1800, because obviously that is where he saw in the next start. I mean, this is a great race for her. It'll be interesting to see whether
She's just a run short.
well, not so much that she's run short. She's actually got to.
She's got it right.
But she's also got to tackle a horse that's that's going to have conditions to suit again. I mean, I can see the interest in Loophole being sort of cleaning up after a bit of a fracas between the other two.
I had the feeling though that Foreign Prince is a little bit like he ran his race at the 1800.
So, all right.
I think 2000 might just be a stretch too far for the horse.
John?
It's not a race I'd want to get too interested in, but I'm still yet to be keen that Sabrina wants 2000 either, so
yeah,
it's not a race I'm too excited about, but I'm definitely not chiming into her at the short price, or I'll be taking a wide berth. But
well, it's one of those situations where, because there's only 5 runners, they're really not giving anything away anywhere. If you put up 120% with 5 runners, well, then suddenly every runner's got, theoretically, every runner's got 4%, too much.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a strong believer that she's 2000 metre horse either. I always thought of her as more of a mile run on horse, or to even be on pace as she was last start, but it's quite slowly run. This race, if it does get heavy, they could just sit, walk, and then sprint, and then she's probably going to be suited.
Yeah.
And she could just be climbing over the top.
yeah, if I was having a bet, I'd be laying her small and strapping in.
Strapping in.
Yeah.
Well called there, Jay Walter. Very good to have you here. The Highway is your race. Here we go. It's over 1500 this time, and King's Officer has finally made his way into favouritism. $3.75. Callaway Cruiser is $3.90. And then we head out to Le Cavalier at 10. Pure Choice 11. They Call Me Rose 13. Erica 14. Explosive Scene 15. Auckland Beauty 17. Sorry, I forgot Stratum Siren in there at $10. As far as the pace is concerned, well, obviously we've got this wretched Pure Choice to go around again, who'll be part of the mix. She's Invincible finally showed good speed in a fast run race last start, and Auckland Beauty looks like an on-pacer. Matt Dale's had her for 3 runs. I had those 3 in the van with, I guess, perhaps Erica posing up behind that group. Can you see anything else there, John?
I think, yeah, Callaway Cruiser, it'll be the ones behind him. Oh, geez, I spent a lot of time on this Callaway Cruiser and can't get it as short as the market has.
16 to 1 for me.
Yeah.
So he's run the 2 races in the heavy.
Looked gone before the turn last start, but the rest of them were more gone, if that makes sense. So he just sort of won by 6 by default if you can.
Yeah, and coming back to 1500.
It just didn't add up to me, especially with a solid looking tempo. If I wanted to be taking any sort of a price Callaway Cruiser, I want it to be probably leading. And
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that may be a soft area of the market. Aaron, what do you want to say about this race? You're
It's
finally
not
on the
a race
spot
I'm
here.
really loving at the moment. The one horse that I was a little bit interested in was She's Invincible. Had to work last start, and I thought it was pretty game fighting on late. But it's not, and it gets right down in the weights here. But it's not exactly a race I was overly keen to play.
I found a spot for her, John. What did you? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I
there?
could,
She's
I could
Invincible.
find it only because it's it's going to be there. No weight, it's hard fit. That drummed out Laredo Hustler, Kurok. That race was a bit dicey, but it did have the hard run. That form ties in pretty strongly against most of these sort of form lines, so I definitely can't knock it.
Well, let's talk about the favourite here, King's Officer, who finally found his race a fortnight back in the heavy ground. Obviously, he'd be ridden the same way and hoping for a similarly run race, which he could easily get. But he did strike me as being the sort of horse that you always want a bit of a premium about because of his
The pattern he has, yeah.
because of his
Run on
connections and he seems pretty screwed down there.
I was against him that day only because of the gap between runs, and it just didn't look like he was suited on a sort of bottomless track, and I was surprised at how well he went. I know everything sort of fell into place for him, so I guess if he's set up to run well, the way I sort of look at things, I thought this is the day I wanted to back him, so I can't knock him, but yeah, I agree he's not a 2-to-1 sort of horse, that's for sure. 5-2. There's a little bit of value around. I thought Auckland Beauty really improved a lot last start, and there was a couple. Erica, I think, can sit a lot closer, and that race was probably a good race for this.
There's a big jockey change there.
Yeah,
Yes,
And that was a
the
6-metre
big
rail where the where the winner obviously led all the way, and the second horse sucked up.
Yeah.
that was there. It was the flatted horse, that's for sure. There's been a few winners come out of that did sit wide and back, so that was a pretty good race for this race. I definitely playing small around both favourites would be my intention.
All right, that's the highway where there's a couple of good leads there. Race 4 is over 12. We're back down to 1,200 metres for the fillies and mares, and here we see Flamboyant Miss Lass at $4.80 in favourite. She looks tuned up. $7 Butter Boom, $7.50 Thud, $7.50 Don't Don't Marley, $8 Wine Tails, and out to $12 Allard and his 10 pins, $13 Magic of Dreams. Classic looking mares race. Obviously Flamboyant Lass will be part of the fray. Bonate looks the other leader, and Miss 10 Pins I imagine would race a lot closer than she did in the faster race last week.
Flamboyant Lass. It didn't come up last prep, and its 2 trials have been horrendous.
Had 3 trials or 2 trials this time? 3
Sorry,
trials, yeah. And I think it had a 1,200 metre trial last time.
Hello, A Macy, flashing light, lay of the day. Here
No,
we go.
I can't say it just due to the way that Gay, for some reason, can get these horses like this in a trial. Look like they could just about keel over and die, and then they come out and win like Burnborough. But if you're going off your eye and what you looked at the trials, you'd say this horse is ready to be a mum.
Okay.
And she did have the foot problem last preparation.
Well, she drew gate 1 at 1, which was a killer,
Yeah.
and then you've got to watch the Mosses behind her.
It's alright, they love me, it's good.
And then she obviously raced outside the lead in a pretty competitive race, the Gold Coast, the Magic Millions Guineas. She was dynamic, first up over 1,000 on wet going, soft going, first up last time.
In the midweek, yeah.
So look, I'm sure she's good to go, but you're suggesting, Aaron, that she's good to go with -1 of those legs.
I couldn't. Those trials,
All right. So do you want to take us to somewhere else, or you just want to oppose this horse?
Well, I certainly want to oppose her. I thought there was a couple of chances in the race. I thought the run of Don't Doubt Marley was quite good last start at Warwick Farm. Went wide, hit the line late. She's kind of been looming. What about the fact that the run-on horses from that race looked pretty plain on Wednesday? Yeah,
and
that could be a query. The one thing I like about her is she's a horse that's kind of looked a bit like a gunner horse. Gets the blinkers on. I love backing those horses blinkers first time.
Probably better off coming back in distance too. To sort of get a more truly run race.
Truly run race, blinkers on, down in the weights. I think she gets a chance.
Likes a soft too. I found
And likes a
there's
soft,
a good chance as well. I thought
You happy with the
very
odds?
well set up. Is it? It was about $7
$7.50.
mark. Yeah, that was fair enough for me because I couldn't see too many strong winning hopes. They're sort of all horses that want to be there but not win.
Yeah, it is a classic looking team, isn't it?
Yeah, and she's in that sort of bracket at the moment because she hasn't won for a long time, but probably looks ready to win, whereas some of them just look like they want to chase the pack a bit, especially over 1200. Not that many suited for mine.
Okay.
Flamboyant Lassie's one that I wouldn't want to be penning though. I'm scared of it. It is the one horse that could just dominate these horses if the trials aren't.
Well, look, we saw her go round 10-9 against Alart, who obviously beat her on that occasion in the what's that race?
The Regal Allen.
Reginald Allen.
Yeah, Reginald Allen.
That Phillies race prior to the Flight Stakes.
Well, she looked like being a black type horse early in the preparation, and she's obviously had issues. She's had feed issues. Things have gone wrong. If she's at her best, she wins this race. The trials are telling me otherwise, but
she's not.
She might not be. But like I said, at the same time, gay stable trials can be very misleading.
Anything else, Aaron?
I thought Thud was interesting here. I found Thud interesting. I thought trials have been good enough. Likes the sting out of the track. It's got to be a chance. And the one above it as well, Magic of Dreams. I thought its trials were. I thought its trial was quite good. Yes.
Thud I thought may have been looking for an 1100 metre race.
1200 is a long way for it. I thought, especially if it was wet. I had the same sort of feeling.
Magic of Dreams has been a major problem since for 2 preparations now. She's lost her mojo.
She seems a horse they've been trying to target for races and seems to never get there or something. She just never seems to be in the right race.
I see, Alart is sort of bumbling about, but finally loses G. Ryan, which may be interesting. And Miss Tenpins has had the most recent run in the race. She's well seasoned, and thought her Brisbane run 2 starts back was not hopeless in regard to this. I'm not really liking her, just thinking that $12 was reasonable. But look, it's a race that needs some answers, and we may have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah. Bottom one for me.
We then move on to a 3-year-old race, which is a benchmark 74 over the 1350. So some of these are coming back from the 1500 a fortnight ago. Others are coming up from the 1200 on that day. So there's the 2 form lines going into this race. And the market sees Dark Steel at $5.50, Vanderkemp at $6, Classic Uniform 7, Static Lift 7, Nerdy Rudy 8.5, and then a trio at 9, Last Witness, So Willie, and Dingo Mountain, much maligned Dingo Mountain. Honestly run race, I thought, John, you've got Classic Uniform would like to lead. He's coming back from 1500. Vanderkemp is quite fresh and drawn wide. Nerdy Rudy was right up on the speed in the 1200, and Static Lift looks to take a trail just behind those.
Yeah, I think Tim will definitely be trying to cross them for sure, especially back in distance. He knows that's his horse's best chance. If he can get to the front, it should be strong, so I'm pretty sure he's not scared to use a bit of petrol early, whereas the others probably aren't as guaranteed to be strong. And it was probably the horse I wanted to find too.
All right.
Good run last start.
It was a very good run last start. What do we make of that race? The ambulance is sort of like it was threatening to run over them.
It's such a scary race to be betting out of, especially on the 2 week for mine. Like So Willie was just one lotto. They just went so hard, it was insane. And it was funny watching the race. You're like, Panya hit the lead early on that horse and it sort of died, or whatever the one was behind him. Then I'm looking back in the field for Classic Uniform, it's only got beaten a length. I'm like, well, how did that happen? Then you've got horses that have run on the Seeking Asylum, I think was in that race as well, and it's come out and not run that well. So it's just a matter of which horse is probably going to... If Classic Uniform's coped with that run, I think it was the best run in that race, and he's a big, strong, tough horse. I probably would have wanted him at a mile, but this is the only race they could find for it, obviously, in 3-year-old grade.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal, but I think he's just a tough, strong, and he could be an underrated sort of horse. and the rest of them, Last Witness is the other horse in the race I want to find. I really like the horse and think it's another underrated type, and I thought the rest wasn't much in between them. And I was surprised to see that Dingu Mountain's heavily backed again in early markets. I think it was 15s into about 6s or something again. So.
I thought Last Witness comes out of the strongest form line here. I think Ravi is by far the best. It's the right run. It was chasing home behind Ravi, and I thought it was the one to find here.
Okay.
I think Vanderkamp's coming out too, which is going to affect the races a lot as well.
So what is the story with Vanderkamp? He sort of never seems to run, you know?
I'm not sure. And he's saying he's protected, like the barrier was the reason why it was most likely to come out this week, which I can't understand if it's going to be a softish sort of track anyway, and it's non-pace horse, so it's a very strange argument.
Okay. Static Lift seems to have returned very well as a gelding. Is he a gelding, or it was just?
I think he was gelded during the break, yeah, and he's come back. I really liked his first up win. I thought the way he put them away at the Beaumont was great, even though it's sort of hard to run him down at that track sometimes, but he did it well. And then last start he was really strong on the line again. So they were actually the three that I thought were the strong chances. I did miss that when we were talking through it, and he should get the right run again. He does look a progressive horse. I know they had a huge rap on it before they gelded him, and he's obviously come back. Much more genuine.
It's come very solid. Now we haven't spoken about the favourite, Dark Steel, $5.50.
Is it just a
prize favourite?
Well, I didn't have it anywhere near that sort of. Wouldn't have had a favourite, that's for sure. I think it was coming out of that Scone race, and
did Raw Gate 1 at Scone, which clearly was a disadvantage.
Wasn't ideal, but it wasn't as bad. I think they didn't seem to go hard. That's been a funny race. That race, like it was the
Guineas.
Yeah, who won the thing at Snowden's won the race, and it's just been a bit of a dicey race for mine. I just sort of treat it as a no race when I've been doing the form with it, because the ones that have just sat behind seem to sort of get the suck up there and just lob there.
What did you make of Lanciano, the trials, Mark Newnham horse?
Well, I liked its form better than its trial, but yeah, he's got a runner today at Gosford.
He's a runner, and this is his third. This is going to be his third runner and first city runner. I thought it looks a horse with a little bit of scope. I thought his Kiwi runs were okay. He just looked a bit immature. He's since been gelded. Well, he was gelded and then came here, and he gets the tongue tie on also.
Yeah, certainly I was respectful.
I thought it looked one of the horses that could have a little bit of X factor.
It's not an easy race to win for a new trainer for mine, but he's sort of one I want to look at his horses for a while and Newnham before I get too excited about them. But obviously, he's got a good grounding. He's not going to be legless, but yeah.
All right, that's the 3-year-old race over 1350. We stay at 1350 for the second half, for the first leg of the quaddie, which is 4-year-old and up. So no 3-year-olds allowed here. They've got their own race prior, and the market sees the perennial disgraceful $4.75 and favourite out to Avanarco at $7.50, Grand Punto at $8.50, Better Not Blue at $10, next Gamblers Blues $10, sorry, Embley at $9, and Next Level at $11. It's another corker, this race. We've got Night Rocker to seek the lead. Distraught underneath him will be thereabouts. Bonacci from the wide draw, assuming he gets a run, will be on speed. And Next Level's become a leader, or an out-and-out leader. He's led with success in his 2 country wins in quite fast time. So he may make a play for it. It's another race that looks very honest, John.
It does.
Willing, even?
Willing, honest, yeah, there definitely looks like there'll be a bit of pressure. Hopefully there'll be a bit of pressure, which should sort them out, because again, there's not many horses that want to win races here.
Well, it's classic at this time of year in Sydney. You just get like there's just, these fields just keep presenting themselves, don't they?
Full of just non-winners.
As long as they go at a sort of, there's a bit of pressure, at least that sort of tends to weed them out. Whereas if they go slow, anything can happen, or anything can win. So it doesn't look too bad a race. I'm going to chop Aaron off because I know he likes this horse too, so I'm going to claim it first. And I thought Embley was very, very strong first up, and it was a horse that I thought will make Saturday, like genuine Saturday grade. And if he gets a run, even though he doesn't have a jockey at present, as long as they don't put anyone too crazy on, he was the one to beat.
Well, I imagine he'd be looking to pick from what's.
He's basically going to get whatever comes out, isn't it? It looks like, doesn't it? So unless he gets one of the other emergencies doesn't get a run or
I was
something,
hoping Next Level got scratched quietly.
The Next Level's part of your vanguard. You want him to stay in, really?
I think he's not one to scratch too often. G. Portelli. I don't think he'll be. I don't think he'll be coming out, unfortunately. And the other sort of horses I thought were genuine was got Grand Punto was a pretty good ride and had things to suit last start, but he definitely, if the rain comes, he's one suited and
he did attack the line with the vengeance, didn't he? Interestingly, he came back to 1200 to do that, and I'm wondering whether he might actually be better at the shorter course.
It scares me a little bit, especially when you know that Adkins is not going to ride it with any sort of urgency and he'll be back last, and probably, his win last start was probably, and then you wait for the same sort of setup as last time, next time.
I was quite keen on this race. I thought, because I marked Embley favourite, and then I've marked Better Not Blue second favourite, and you're getting $10 and I think $12. I thought Better Not Blue, if you go, its last run is too far back, he's run off his feet early, he's kind of just whacked away. The 1350 is his right trip, gets the wet track. If you go for his run, 2 starts to go to Danish Twist, it's certainly good enough to be winning.
was in that race.
Yeah, it's certainly good enough to be winning here. I thought you've already made the reasons for Embley. They were the 2 that I really wanted to be on.
So Disgraceful, he's just one of those that punters like to avoid, is it? I mean, it's
going to be there, but it's going to be inside Kobe.
He's just had a collection of Saturday runs where he did every chance, every time. It's like,
which is kind of good. It seems to put itself into the race, but it doesn't have that little bit extra to go through the grades, and it'll be there, and it'll probably knock you out 1 in 10, and that's what I'd rather be against it nearly every time.
So Avon Arco's third up on the quick backup. Of course, he's got the Wembley form.
Yeah, and I thought he was third pick. Just kind of there. I thought he got blocked for half a run, and his run was okay.
What, last week?
Yeah, last week.
Funny sort of race, that race last week, wasn't it? It was.
It's outstanding.
That's an outstanding result.
Yeah, sorry.
We won't talk about the race as outstanding. Yeah, it saved a lot of people, that race, but.
It wasn't quite an awkward looking race, wasn't it?
Yeah, Gambler's Blues keeps coming back in distance. Any clues there? It's he's a horse with last start Rosehill form.
To me, it seems to me that the stables seems to be back on song, and they're not. And this doesn't seem like the race that they'd be targeting with this horse. I don't know where they're going, but I highly doubt it's this race. And I love just trying to picture what Tim Martin's thinking when he puts a horse in a race. And I can't see this as being one that he's getting too excited about.
If it was the 1500, you'd be having. If it was 1500, I'd be having something on it, or even up in trip, but certainly not back in trip.
Okay, well that's yet another. Well, I'm pleased to hear your enthusiasm, Aaron. So we'll.
He does seem excited. It's rare to get that out of him too. So it's a good chance.
We'll work on to the 1500 benchmark 85, where we've lost 2 runners. Hollywood Bound, and we lost Sigmund earlier. Market sees Invincible backing up from Monday at $3.50. Magical Stance at $5. We've got Amarada at $6.50. Kellyville Flyer $6.50. Riker $8.50. And the bottom 2 are both $12. Metallic Crown and Surf and Safari, the 3-year-olds. We've got Himalaya Dream back to Rose Hill. I imagine that he would like to lead. Kellyville Flyer will poke up underneath. Riker is going to be on speed. Amarada's looking for a position from her whitish gate. And Invincible wouldn't be too far away, I guess, John.
Yeah, I saw it pretty similar pace-wise, and there's quite a few that want to be in that little bunch right behind, like even Metallic Crown. They all want to sort of be there in that striking spot, so there should be a good bit of pressure, which makes the race even harder for mine. I didn't know what to make of Invincible's run the other day. I thought it was pretty average, and I thought he had his chance to get out and run on, even late, to do something, and I sort of got stuck with the top 2 as the class in the race, and it's just a matter of whether they get the right run. I know, once again, you've got Adkins on a horse that he's not suited by, and he's going to be out the back. It's probably the best horse, and I've fallen into it about its last 6 starts, and I'll probably fall into it
Probably
again.
better earlier in his campaign.
Yeah, he's better earlier in his campaign.
I thought he should have near won first up. I thought when Grand Punto took off and Huey went, he should have been right on the back of him, and he would have dragged him far enough to get him across the line. I thought they were runs. There wasn't much in it. But he's just not a horse that you want to find for your life, that's for sure. But he does look suited here with a lot of average sort of horses that don't have a real killer blow in front of him.
What did you make of Amarada?
I thought his trial was good in between, and I thought it's definitely suited class-wise. It's just a matter of whether Clipperton can put it into a position from gate 9. I don't know where it gets to.
Yeah,
she wasn't. I read she was slow to move in the trial. Which seemed a bit odd to me. But
early in her career, she used to get out and then sort of take a position. Now she seems to struggle that first few strides, which could cause a lot of problems in this race.
What else do we want to talk about? Well, Riker's a bit of a perennial. That's been there was scratched from the meeting a fortnight ago. He gets his rider tomorrow, but he's yet to win in Sydney.
He's just really struggling to finish races off. It seems like he's a non-chaser at the dogs a bit. He's a bit of a one that waits for one, and he just doesn't have anything to bat them off when they come at him. I've given up on Riker. And
Kellyville Flyer, last start course and distance winner. Not up to them.
It had everything in its favour that day. Like the pattern, that was the one race of the day where they didn't go hard and sort of just flopped there.
Very slowly, didn't they?
Yeah, Kobe just flopped there and out sprinted, a couple of horses that weren't suited. So I'd be looking to be pretty harsh on him, especially from the inside gate.
And what are we saying about Metallic Crown? Kind of just chased on into second there. Needs them to run along a little bit more than they did the other day, or is it?
I don't know what that horse needs.
Well, it obviously needs a wet track. The more the Northern Meteors I see, the wetter they get.
They are. Yeah.
But he's a bit lacking. He seems a bit lacking. He's a bit lacking in substance. I said Invincible and Magical Stance. But,
I think Invincible's the one that you want to. If I forget that run from Monday, I probably have it on top. And maybe that's why. Maybe it needed that run and it's thriving. I'm not sure, but it's.
That's how I'm seeing it. I think you just want to forgive that last run. He's well weighted. He just seems really well placed.
Yeah, well, he's got to be well placed because he's sort of only got one win in him in the campaign.
And I think it's like Woods. This kind of looks like the race Chris has targeted. Fourth up, he goes from the top weight back down in the weight. It kind of looks like he's right race for him. I thought.
Right jockey, yeah, it's got a lot of
right jockey. It's just on the back up. It has the Chris Waller polish set up to it.
Betting will be interesting on it too. I'd say a few people will oppose it. It might get out before firming again. I'd say you probably get a better price than is around at the moment.
Okay, that's probably the one of the features of the day. There we move on to an 1800 metre race where they all want to run, and
yes, you do.
Yes, Sabrina appears as the fourth emergency in this race. Leaving her aside, Vassal is the favourite at $3.60. Santa Rocks is $4.80. We've got several runners at 9.5. Shizozo, Consign, Olympic Academy. And what is next pick? Probably $14. Thurston is your next best. The Santa Rocks is now a free going mare this preparation. She gets out there and makes all, and I imagine that the intention would be to lead with her. Kentucky Dane may have other ideas, but very timid ride I thought first up on Kentucky Dane. It was like, here you go Sabrina, it's all yours lady.
And especially when he jumped 3/4 in front and then actually restrained a Waterhouse horse, like you probably see that once every 3 months. It was very, very strange.
So Kentucky Dane may have other ideas tomorrow. That'd be pleasing to see Kentucky Dane on the in the van. Sapphire of Patch showed good speed at his only local start and has had a short spell since then. Drawn very deep. But other than that, I couldn't find too much else to get on the speed, John.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Pace-wise, it doesn't Doesn't look like there's too much pressure, but there should be enough in it from just even Kentucky Dane and Santa Rocks.
Well, I guess you end up with horses like Wine and Dine, like trying to use their draw to be handy.
Could JT be rolling forward from a wide gate if it gets in those?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
John McLost.
Look, while it's not his style to be pushing the button on horses, especially.
Yeah.
He rode it so quiet first up too that it doesn't look like they're intending to keep that same pattern that Hayes had of pushing forward with it. I think they're going to try and ride him conservatively. It looks like. I'd be surprised if it went forward. That's for sure. Even though it's got Tim Clark on it, who doesn't mind heading forward.
Okay, now I was expecting to see Basil in a 1.5 mile race soon. He's opted to come back to 1800. What do we say about that?
I've got no idea.
I've got no idea why it's in this race.
I can't.
To me, I really like the horse, and I thought its run last start again was pretty solid considering how slow they went. It was crazy. It was a very strange race, and yeah, to drop back to 1800, I thought it was the sort of horse he'd put away and bring back early, for a country cup sort of horse in the springtime. So I really can't work out why the horse is in the race at all.
Well, maybe he's just keeping him ticking over. Maybe there's a race in a fortnight's time over 2400 that he's got his eye on, and he doesn't want 3 weeks between 2000 to 2400.
What did you make a consign the other day? I didn't think it handled the heavy 10. I thought if it was getting back to a dry
But it was
track.
such a dash home, this race promises to be quite different. He's an encouraging type, I'd say. Consign. He's got his 2 runs. One of them was around Santa Rocks, Warwick Farm, and Wine and Dine. Looks like the sort of horse you'll be looking for in these type of races. Thurston obviously was a horse that I noted first up that looked set for a good campaign, and I suppose there's a pile of sort of. We're going to the county jail with John.
Interesting. Very nice.
Bit of jailhouse rock.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we looking here, guys?
Well, I'm looking at Consign, Santa Rocks, and Thurston. They're my 3.
Okay, yeah, nothing wrong with them.
I thought Santa Rocks. I thought its last win was quite good. I thought she looked promising in Melbourne, and the run prior to Melbourne was quite good too. I think she's kind of hitting her straps now.
Yeah, well, look, she was pretty awesome at Canterbury, wasn't she? I mean, she tender softened her up all the way, and she just
found.
But I mean, she this is we saw her in a Saturday race last preparation, and she was
It's when you say Saturday and Santa Rocks to me, I start getting a bit of a nervous tick. I don't, especially with all respect to Jamie Innes. He'd have to ride the race of his life and do something for me to get this horse across the line. I think Consign's got much more upside to it than Santa Rocks, and Thurston as well. But I'm not. Thurston doesn't fit into me. Second up 1800 doesn't seem right, but it would surprise me. It's the horse that I definitely want to keep on my side. And again, I don't know what Basil does, but they were the 3 clear class horses for me in the race. And Consign looks the best set up.
Yeah. Okay. That's the